Welcome, ladies and you boys, too. I'm Aravero here, as always, and this is the spawn room on Zedwork LVS server, and there's a reason that I'm here. Um, Something is happening. We have a command here on LVS. This command right now, which keeps track of how many hours we. Oops, that's not the right command. I was thinking about something else. That's not the right command. Here, wait, this one. Hours played. This keeps track of how many hours we have played on the server. I think a lot of servers have commands similar to this. Look at that. I am almost at 5,000 hours, which is huge. And it's also got me to thinking, what on earth have I been doing for 5,000 hours? So, I figured I'd answer that question in this video. Obviously, to start with, I spawned in here. I went through here, I went over there, I got some crops. I followed these. I actually spent the first 3 or 4 Minecraft days just wandering around this spawn town, looking at all of the builds and being afraid that if I was attacked by a creeper with no armor and no wood and I didn't know what I could break because this is a no grief server, or was afraid that if I broke any tree I was gonna get banned. I spent like 3 or 4 days wandering around spawn, running into buildings, died from creepers because I was afraid of something exploding and I would get banned for the creeper breaking something. But that's not how it works here. But I didn't know that until Wolf the Gamer came and helped me find the trees, which are down there for the record. Well, not down there, but you follow that tunnel and there's a great big tree farm. But anyway, after I got myself a little bit of a kit, I went to this whoops. I went to Extreme Hills, which was this post at that time, and went out into the world and explored. So, for an hour, I walked south. I think it was, yeah, south. And this is where I ended up. I wandered this far, and finally when I got to this birch forest, I stopped seeing signs of life. The builds and activity was so obvious everywhere on this on this server when I joined. And this is the first place that I found that I thought didn't have anybody living around it. And so I built this house, which is ugly, 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 ugly. It was based around this naturally occurring circle in Minecraft, which I thought was just a wonderful thing. And so I built this house. It's an interesting footnote, though, that I am now revisiting. This is an interesting footnote I just thought of as I was here. I built this house following the lines of this naturally occurring circle in Minecraft. I'm sure we've all seen these. That was open to the sky, and I'm thinking right now the thing I'm working on is basically the same thing, following the natural lines of Minecraft. So this is like a full circle kind of thing for me in this moment. No pun intended. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I stayed here for about 3 weeks. Now, at that time, in my Minecraft experience, I don't think I had ever even so much as built a nether portal before I started on this server, because I didn't understand didn't think there was any point in going to the nether, or, whatever. And so, anyway, I came here, I built these little animal pens, I built, somewhere over here, this unnatural line of birch trees. And the sun's going down, so I want to get over here. Somewhere over here, there is a pretty bay and a little bit of a path where looks like I was planning to put a road. And then I planted that sugarcane crop right there. And then I was exploring the area, and since I didn't know how nether portals worked, I thought that I had to find a place that was about 1,000 blocks from anybody else overworld in order to be able to place a portal and not get myself into trouble with it sinking up. Well, that was partly true, but not exactly true. So anyway, what happened was there was a bunch of builds around within that 1,000 blocks. So I ended up deciding to move from here. And since the coordinates here are about 10K, 10K, I went to the opposite side of the world. Something that has cropped up down here in this part of the world since I left is this ginormous build of underwater domes. This is a community that is known as Mare on the LVS server. And it is just, it's not very active anymore. It was extremely active, very popular. Lots and lots of people came and participated in this build for a long time, for many months, including this ginormous, ridiculously obscene palace thing. For many, many months, this was the big project to be part of. But I had already moved and I wasn't in this part of the world, and I felt like that was just further than I wanted to travel to participate in this project. At that time in my Minecraft life, I wouldn't feel the same way now, but we have this lovely thing, and this is only about 1,000 blocks from where I originally set up my base. If I had stayed here, I would no doubt have participated in this magnificent build, but I didn't. And when I got to the other side of the world, I found this island at about the same coordinates as where that little base was, my little first base was. And I don't know why I took down all the trees, probably because I needed wood, but it's a little split island or twin island or whatever you want, just barely big enough to spawn a few animals. And over there, there's a monument. So, since I have a monument over there, I spent a good amount of time, probably a good 40 hours out of that 50 hours that I've spent so far, 5,000 hours that I've played so far. Oh, speaking of such things, let's do that and see. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. So, probably a good 50 to 100 hours of my 1,000 hours has been the process of draining this monument. But not only this monument, but also over here, actual Vagabond Gate, as I've mentioned before, is built underwater. Well, had to be drained, and so that took me a significant amount of time before I could even begin to build the things that are Vagabond Gate. Now, this is not a Vagabond Gate tour video, but obviously Vagabond Gate is going to have been something that has taken up a significant amount of my time, considering it took me an entire year and 3 attempts to get an iron farm that I liked. I mean, come on, that's on video. So I started making videos at about 3,000 hours, but I want to go into the nether now. So I had that little island, that little split island, which I mined into for quite a ways. And then I started to drain Vagabond Gate, but I didn't finish it, of course, because the first thing I did was I dug this tunnel, which goes to spawn. Now, I need to tell you that at that time in my Minecraft life, I did not understand the point, and there was no mending. I did not understand the point of using diamonds for tools that were just going to wear out and break. And I didn't understand that enchanting changed that. So this tunnel was dug with wooden and stone tools. Now this tunnel goes about 1,200 blocks. No, I lied. This one goes about 600 blocks back toward not Spawn, but one of our warp towns. And then, of course, I went in and finished Vagabond Gate and did Vagabond Gate, but I also have dug this tunnel, which goes another 1,400 blocks this way to the world border. This one, also 1,400 blocks that way to the world border. And this one, 1,400 more blocks to the world border. Oh, and by the way, fully decorated the entire length. So that took up a lot a lot of time. Probably a good solid 3 weeks for each of those, figuring I was playing for about 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day during those periods of my Minecraft life, which I will admit at this point I am really questioning how healthy that was. But considering that I was playing about 10 hours a day at that point in my Minecraft life, we can estimate what? Let's just say 10 times 21, which would be what? 210, 200 hours there, 200 hours, 200 hours. And Lord knows how long it took me to dig this one with a wooden pick and a stone pick. Somebody talked me into better thinking by the time I got to these. But anyway, but this is not the only tunnel. This is the lower floor of our spawn nether hub. And when I say our spawn nether hub, I've mentioned before that LVS has got the spawn, and then we also have these, you might call them subsidiary spawn points. They're not actually spawn points. Everybody always spawns in the same room you saw at the beginning of the video. But this is our main central at spawn hub, and I don't want to go there. I can't face this one yet. I got to start over here. First, well, we decided, and this was at about 2,500 hours. The server decided to build tunnels from spawn all the way to the world border. Those tunnels would be about 2,700 blocks long in the nether. And we built, so I ran supplies for this one. A lot of other people were building on this one. So I helped dig the tunnel that we ran it through, and then helped contributed to the decoration of that tunnel. I contributed to the decoration of this tunnel, I think, to the least degree. I helped here, but not that much. But this tunnel goes along that way, also to the world border. And then there's also this one, which goes also to the world border. And this tunnel, unlike our other hub points, people are allowed to join directly to these border tunnels, and they don't need to have the assistance of like mods and to get a spot on that tunnel to hub. And then this tunnel, there are days that this tunnel gives me nightmares. Now think, if you have seen my video, episode 3, say for example, of this series, my base has got a lot of acacia logs in it, and this tunnel is entirely acacia logs. Some, well, probably none of this nether brick came from my base, but a lot and a lot and a lot of the acacia from in this tunnel came from my base, because I had at that point just finished my ravine tree farm. No, I didn't even have my ravine tree farm. This tunnel is probably the genesis of the idea for my ravine tree farm, because I was constantly cutting acacia at my base, bringing it down here, turning it into stairs, and you all know how much wood you go through when you start making stairs, and this entire tunnel is made out of stairs. And then go back to my base and cut down more wood and come back and put it in the walls of this tunnel and go back to my base and you don't believe it? Check this out. Okay, let's see, blocks. Come on, I know it's down here. Let me find the block here. Come on. Look at how many stairs. What? That's sandstone. Don't. It's not a lie. I'm not a liar. That's sandstone. That's not acacia. Acacia logs. Here we are. I saw it. Acacia. 66,000 acacia logs. I think this is the mined column. They really need to fix this thing so that we can see what this is. 66,000 acacia logs between my base and this tunnel that I mined. 40,000 times used, 40,000 times placed. Give me that thing back. Come in here. Hey, mouse. Thank you. Come here. Look, where's it go? Where'd it go? 48,000 times placed, 31,000 times used. I have experienced a lot of acacia in my life. That's the entire point of this whole exercise. Am I going the right direction? Am I going the right direction? West toward negative x. Yes. No, yes, that's right. Okay. So much acacia I have seen in my life. I spent, I believe, a full total 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, working on these border tunnels. And again, as I say, that was when I was spending at least 6 hours a day playing Minecraft. Again, I believe at that point my Minecraft might have been a little bit out of balance in my life. But oh my gosh, so sometimes now when I want to use acacia logs, it doesn't matter for what the project is. Sometimes now I even think of acacia logs and acacia and I can't start the project. But then, in addition to that, there was this tunnel, which goes to the town my hub is that I hub off of. This tunnel was neglected and needed to be decorated and finished digging and all of that. So I did this tunnel too, with all of the leaf placements exactly where they had to be, and all of the oh my gosh, I don't know how much time I see. You can see the sky there. That's actually intentional. Oh my gosh, so much time I spent on this tunnel as well. So that is a total of 3 or 4 border tunnels plus this one plus my 4. That's already 9 nether tunnels. And then let me jump back on a cart. And then of course there was the tunnel that goes to um, um, River Bend, which I think has been featured in one of my other videos. So if you want to see what that one looks like, y'all can check that out. I think that would be about episode 15. Don't quote me on that. It was just the briefest mention. But that's just the intentional constructional stuff. I love this tunnel. It's one of my favorite ones. I didn't build this one. It's one of my favorite builds on the server. It used to be narrower by, I guess, it used to be a 1 track. So the reason it has netherrack in the roof is because they widened it and they never came back and finished the ceiling. But I love this tunnel. Look at the clay. Look at the very simple design. I love the whole detail of the flower and the carpet. I love this tunnel. I just do. This is a massive build. This is, or was, a great big deep hole. 400 by 400 they excavated out here so that they could just put these pillars in here. It's got to do with like the Mines of Moria, which is a reference to the Lord of the Rings, maybe? At any rate, I contributed, but only a little tiny bit here, but I was hanging out with people. Stop shooting at me, skeleton. Let me out of here. Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Maybe 50 hours. This is a castle that was built by Timbo Timbinator. I think I got that wrong. He usually just went by Timbo. And one day, EC, now that'd be the same guy whose house I'm decorating in Archville. One day, EC asked me if I would come over here and do interior decorating on this house for his buddy Hode. And so this was my first interior decorating job, which paid me in praise, really, because, I mean, he would have paid me. It's just, we play on a server with friends. Sometimes you just don't want to get paid. Or it was more like I godfathered him. One day, and for the rest of your life. No, one day I will ask a favor, and when I ask, you will pay. And so I did this house for Hode, and it wasn't very long before I also did this house down the street for Skyhorse. Where's it at? Where's it at? Did I go the wrong direction? No, there it is over there. This house over here, I did the interior decorating as well. This all is for Skyhorse. So that would be my second decorating job. Nice big kitchen here. I didn't realize how big it was. And yeah. So there's that. And then while I was hanging out in the neighborhood, I decided I was in love with this structure right here, which is the library. Now this was built by Timbo, and that house was built by Timbo, and so was the house that I built, that I decorated for Hode. But they were all these shell structures built kind of similarly to that. And I just went inside of them and decorated. And I had the permission of the builder, Timbo, and also was asked. So it's not like I just decided they needed to be fixed. Well, those ones. This one, I loved this building. I thought this building was just wonderful architecture. But I felt like that the inside needed a little bit of a workup. So I asked Timbo if he minded. And he said, I probably wanted to do the project more than he did at that point. That's what he said. So I decorated this library space, which some days I come here and I'm in love with it all over again. And some days I come here and I think, ugh, what? It's a book. It's a library full of books. And, ugh. But anyway, that was a lot of hours between the 3 bills, counting the running back and forth to get supplies and stuff. That might have been a good 500, well, 200 or 300 hours between the 3 of them. On with the show. This is the Bluetopia Nether Hub. Somewhere down there's a couple of withers loose. It's okay, mob grief is on. These people that built Bluetopia, and if you think my 5,000 hours are obscene, taken together, these people that built Bluetopia, all of their hours is probably a whole lot more obscene than mine. They decided it wasn't good enough to have a map on the wall. They decided to have their Nether Hub be I believe it's 1/8 scale model of their ridiculously large and fantastic city, Skyscraperville. And so they built that hub, and somewhere around here is a magic secret button that will let me not go to the end, but let me back up on the surface. Look at this hub. Oh my gosh. They did this at about the same time as you saw it elsewhere. So it's one of those chicken and the egg things. I don't know which one was first. Here it is. There it is. Let me out of here. I know where I'm going. Let me go. Let me go. This is an in-ship created, I may have mentioned this in-ship before. Let me go upstairs. That's the best place to see from. I didn't build this. This is Bluetopia. You guys know Bluetopia, right? Look, dude, I'm trying to do a thing here. Can you, not? That was a good shot. Just not. Don't. I'm trying to stay here. Okay. This build right here is a purpur farm, or a chorus fruit farm, however you want to look at it. It's part of Bluetopia. You all know Bluetopia. We've been to Bluetopia a couple of times. We have 3 episodes from Apartment 3 at 1A. You can check the playlist, the LVS playlist, to see those. But anyway, I built that purpur farm. I really rather like it. I'm quite chuffed about it. I love that word chuffed. It's not my nation's word, but I think it's a good word. I think that's a good word. I'm rather chuffed about that particular. It's the simplest build you ever saw in your whole life, but I rather like it. But the truth is, it's not finished. The truth is, it's not finished. I've got this little tiny piece, well, it's not tiny. I've got this core structure right here that I haven't done anything with because I don't have any good ideas. So if anybody has any ideas for what I should do inside this core of my purpur farm that I built in Bluetopia, well, put those in the comments for me, would you? Because I can't think of nothing. Okay. Oh, let's check. Hours played. There it is! There's my 5,000 hours! I've been playing for 5,000 hours on this server, and that's over the course of, I believe, almost 4 years now. It's gotta be, well, it's at least 3, if not 4 years. That's a lot of hours. I like that build. Yeah, and that's what I've done. And I have to add on one little asterisk on the end. I also spend a ridiculous amount of time exploring this world, both the parts that have been built and the parts that haven't been built, because usually if I'm stuck on a build or if I'm afraid to start one, I get that way sometimes. Like, I know it's going to involve redstone, and I'm not comfortable with redstone, so I'll put off starting a build for a long time. So I'll be running around the world, going just everywhere, exploring back and forth, like I say, the occupied parts and the unoccupied parts, just to kill time, because I don't want to go build the build yet, because something about it is just like not ready yet to be done. So anyway, but that's most of what I have done in 5,000 hours on LVS. As I said, there's the Vagabond Gate build, which there's a tour of that in episode 3 and possibly episode 4. That's my primary hours, no doubt. And I showed you in the last episode, only briefly, that I'm starting on that big build, that big dig project. And so I'm not bored. After 5,000 hours, I'm not bored. I'm not bored with this world. I'm not bored with the people that play on this server. Although there's nobody here right now when I turned over 5,000 hours. But, yeah. Anyway, that's that for this. Aradoodle-doo, toodaloo. Oh, a disclaimer. I have done some AFK, but not a lot. I don't think it makes sense. Why would I want to play the game but not play the game? I'd rather play the game. I'd literally rather stand there and fish with the fishing rod than stand there AFK and fish. But I have stood here in this iron farm occasionally for the purpose of getting iron for our Zuki stand at spawn, where people can pick up a chest plate and a sword and such things on their first day, just so that they can have a little bit of defense on their way around. I might have spent 50 hours doing that. But anyway, disclaimer, none of these iron golems were injured in the filming of this segment. No iron golems were injured in the filming of this segment.